It was late one evening in the middle of July when the skies over our little town turned dark. Thick storm clouds rolled in, swallowing the last rays of sunshine, and the air grew heavy with the promise of rain. I had just finished washing the last dish when the kitchen light flickered once, twice, and then went out completely. The house was suddenly swallowed in darkness, and the sound of the storm outside filled the silence. I took a deep breath and reached for the small box of candles I kept in the cabinet for emergencies. I had always been prepared for moments like this. Power outages weren't unusual in our area, especially during summer storms, but this one felt different. The stillness, the silence broken only by the patter of rain, sent a little shiver through me. Just then, I heard a knock at the back door. It startled me because the storm had grown fierce, and I wasn't expecting anyone. With the lights out, I hesitated for a moment before opening it. Standing there, drenched from the rain, was Ethan, my neighbor's son. He was 19, tall, and carried a flashlight in one hand. His parents had gone out of town for the week, and he had been staying home alone. "Sorry to bother you," he said, his voice carrying over the storm. "The power's out at my place too. I didn't want to sit alone in the dark." I smiled, relieved it was only him. Ethan had always been like a younger brother to me, though we weren't related. I'd watched him grow up, seen him mowing his parents' lawn, fixing his old bike, and recently heading off to community college. He was polite, responsible, and a little shy. "Of course," I said warmly. "Come in before you catch a cold." He stepped inside, leaving a trail of raindrops behind him. The flashlight beam cut across the kitchen, and I set a candle down on the counter. The flickering glow softened the room, casting shadows that made everything feel smaller and more intimate. For a moment, the storm howled outside, rattling the windows. The power outage stretched into the evening, and Ethan and I found ourselves sitting at the kitchen table, the candlelight dancing between us. He laughed nervously and admitted, "I don't know why, but power outages make me uneasy. Being alone makes it worse." I could see it in his eyes. He was trying to be brave, but he really just wanted company. I reassured him, telling him stories about how my family used to gather around a single candle during blackouts when I was a kid. We would play board games or tell stories, and somehow those dark nights had become some of my brightest memories. As thunder cracked loudly overhead, the house shook, and instinctively, Ethan moved a little closer to me. It wasn't anything strange. It was the natural reaction of someone seeking comfort during a frightening moment. I could feel how tense his shoulders were, and I placed a hand on his arm to let him know everything would be all right. The rain came harder, and the minutes stretched into hours. The food in the fridge would spoil if the power didn't come back soon, so I suggested we cook something simple while we still could. With just the gas stove working, I boiled some pasta and warmed up sauce from a jar. Ethan insisted on helping, and in the candlelit kitchen, we worked side by side. At one point, he nearly tripped over a chair as he moved in the dim light, and I instinctively reached out to steady him. He laughed, embarrassed, but there was a softness in his smile. "Guess I'd be useless without electricity," he joked. I chuckled. "Good thing you've got me to keep things together." We sat down to eat our simple meal by candlelight. Somehow, the flickering shadows, the storm raging outside, and the warmth of shared food made everything feel meaningful. Ethan told me about his worries, how college felt overwhelming, how he missed his parents when they traveled, and how sometimes he felt like no one really understood him. Listening to him, I realized that for all his height and grown-up appearance, Ethan was still just figuring out life. He wasn't a little kid anymore, but he wasn't fully an adult either. He needed someone to listen, someone to remind him that storms, literal or emotional, always pass. The hours slipped by as we talked. Eventually, the storm quieted, but the power was still out. The kitchen was filled only with the soft glow of the candle and the gentle rhythm of our voices. When thunder rumbled again, softer this time, Ethan instinctively moved his chair closer to mine. His nearness wasn't uncomfortable. It felt human, familiar, like family holding close in the dark. By the time the power returned, the storm had passed completely. The kitchen lights blinked back on, making us both squint. The spell of the night had broken, but something had shifted. I saw it in Ethan's eyes, a quiet gratitude, a sense of safety he hadn't expected. He stood, stretched, and smiled. "Thanks for letting me hang out here. I didn't realize how much I needed it." I smiled back, my heart warm. "Anytime, Ethan. You're never alone, remember that." As he left, the rain had stopped, and the air smelled fresh, like renewal. I stood at the door watching him cross the yard back to his house, and I felt a sense of peace. That night in the kitchen during the power outage had changed something between us, not in a complicated way, but in the simplest, purest way possible. We had both been reminded that in the darkness, people need people, and sometimes the smallest gestures of closeness can light up a stormy night. And from then on, Ethan never hesitated to knock on my door when life felt heavy. The bond we shared that night became a quiet promise. Storms don't last forever, and neither does loneliness.